Hi, I'm Heather Datillo with Boulder Insight, and I'm excited to share with you the results of Pulse, the Colorado Health Foundation's annual poll. We've turned the survey findings into an interactive Tableau dashboard that allows you to easily explore the categories, topics, and communities that matter most to you. Let's take a look at this together. So, first, we need to go to copulsepoll.org. That's copulsepoll.org. From there, you have a couple places you can go to get to the interactive dashboard. One is the button here that says Explore Latest Findings. The other place you can go is to the results section. So we've been honored to work with the incredible team CHF has assembled since 2020. So if you'd like, you can explore dashboards from previous years as well. But for this video, we're going to show you this year's results for 2025. So let me simply show you. You just scroll down from the homepage. Below the Pulse Poll highlights, you'll see the interactive dashboard. So for this video, I'm actually going to click here to see this in full screen. You could do everything I'm doing without going to the full screen. It will all work as well for you. And I'm going to show you how you can navigate the dashboard. Now, one of the cool things is nearly everything in all of the Tableau dashboards that we've created for you this year are interactive. And so that's the beauty of creating dashboards in Tableau. So these are navigation buttons that talk about each of the topics that we've done survey on and the questions that were related to that topic in a dashboard. So we have topics this year: value of living in Colorado, challenges facing Colorado, civic engagement, cost of living and housing, health care and mental health, taxes, and then trends for questions that have been asked over the years, what that year-over-year comparison is. In addition, you can also click on these buttons that are the call outs for affordability, civic engagement, and trends. I do want to point out that affordability will take you to the cost of living and housing. And then finally, my favorite feature on all of these Tableau dashboards is that they can be viewed in English or Spanish by simply clicking on that button that is a parameter. So let me show you how this works. You can click on Spanish here. This will change all of the navigation buttons and callouts to now be in Spanish. I can go back to English, and let's take a look at one of the internal dashboards. So let's go to Challenges Facing Colorado first. So you'll notice once we leave that home page or index page, it brings us to an internal dashboard. From here, you also have the capability of being able to click on things and change the way that the data is viewed. So these are called your left and right navigation. And these have all of the different demographics from which you can filter and pivot the data. So the data here in the center will change based on what you've selected. The other thing I want to point out as well is that we've tried to make this dashboard as easily interactive for you as possible for you to navigate. So you'll notice there's a home button that will take you back to that home page, a question mark button that will talk to you about how you navigate this dashboard. If you don't watch the video and you come back to it and you want to be able to use that information, a lot of what I'm covering is in there. And then finally, you'll see this hamburger menu that will take you to easily navigate to the other dashboards from those navigation buttons that we talked about earlier in the home page. And there's also an information icon for you as well. So let's go ahead and interact with the dashboard a bit and explore. So right now, when you come to the dashboard, none of these demographics have been selected. So this is the overall view for all survey respondents in Colorado for this year. And the challenges facing Colorado, if we look what was extremely serious to them, the top two categories were the rising cost of living was 57%, and the cost of housing was 55%. So if I hover over these, you'll see the exact percentage was 57.3 and 54.8. So you can see the bars have rounded those numbers. But let's say that I'm most concerned about the Hispanic Latino population, who are women that are ages 30 to 39. So you'll notice when I select that, This changes the data in the middle of the dashboard. And now you can see that the items that were extremely serious to the Hispanic women that were 30 to 39 was 53.9% said the cost of housing was their biggest concern, followed by drug overdoses, and then the rising cost of living. Let's say, though, that I want to look at two items within these. So let's say that I also want to look at the 18 to 29-year-olds. To do that, you can simply, within the same area for age, sexual orientation, gender identity, you simply click on the control button on your computer or command if you're on a Mac. And that will allow you to select two items. So now we're looking at Hispanic Latino women, 18 to 39. So we can see the biggest concern is the rising cost of living, followed by the cost of housing. Okay, so one way to navigate the dashboard. But let's say we want to reset this to go back to the overall view, but we want to do some regional analysis on this. So you simply go right down here to this little icon. That's a reset view. It has a little arrow with going back to that. So you just click on that. That will reset everything for you. If you only want to clear one of the items, you just simply click on, let's say we want to look at Hispanic, Latino men and women, you could just click on that woman where you saw that blue line, that will remove it as well. But this is reset now to the overall view of the respondents. And let's say that we want to look at this by region. So if we go to Eastern Plains, for instance, you'll notice that the dashboard changes quite significantly about what was their biggest concern that's extremely serious. And in the Eastern Plains, illegal immigration was at 73.7%, followed then by drug overdoses, and then the rising cost of living at 44.7%. Now, if I want to look at the Denver metro area, the data will look a little different. And so in Denver Metro, you'll notice 60% is concerned about the cost of housing and 59%, 59.2 actually, about the rising cost of living. So hopefully that makes sense about all the different ways that you can navigate. And here I can click on Denver Metro, clear it to go back to the unfiltered data source for the overall view for all respondents. Okay, now I'm going to click on the Spanish button, the Espanol as well, so you can see everything on this dashboard also can be seen in Spanish. And we can navigate to the next dashboard that I want to show you because some dashboards had a series of questions, many questions that couldn't fit on just a single dashboard. So when I click on that hamburger icon, this takes you back to any of the dashboards we're not currently looking at. So let's go to healthcare and mental health. What I want to point out is you'll notice there's now a white 1 and a green 2. The green 2 means that the white 1 is the same color as these buttons. You are now looking at the first dashboard for healthcare and mental health. If I go to 2, the 1 will now turn green and the 2 is white. And so now you can see the additional questions that we covered. So in the last year, have you experienced mental health strains such as anxiety, depression, loneliness, or stress? You'll notice that that is now there. But I also want to point out you can always click on these data heroes, the data that's in the middle of your screen, and pivot the data to. So when I click on yes, you'll see 68% of the white respondents said that they have experienced that mental health strain, 20% Latino, 3% Asian, 3% Black, 2% multiracial. So you can see that this will also pivot the data for you by clicking on any of the bars. And then finally, I want to take you to the trends dashboard because that's a little different than the other dashboards we've looked at so far. So I'm clicking on trends, and you'll notice that I can look at this information, and right now there's nothing in the bottom. So you have to click on something at the top to be able to see that. And let's say that we want to look at how bisexual or pansexual folks have responded to this. When I click on that sexual orientation, you'll notice the data has now shifted based on that. And then I can look at something like rising cost of living. And when we look at that, you can see what was extremely serious. Rising cost of living wasn't as big of a concern in 2020, but it certainly increased over the 2021-22, and it has now dropped to 57%. I can select that again. So we're seeing the overall view. I want to point out as well that this little asterisk here means that this is the first year that this question was included in it. So the mistreatment of immigrants will show up as a single dot. But if we ask that question again next year, you'll start to be able to draw a line that's showing there. So that's really it. It's not hard to navigate the dashboards. We hope that you'll find this tool to be valuable for you to better see and understand what topics matter most to Coloradans. And we welcome you to dive into the data, see how these challenges affect the communities and demographics that matter most to you, and hear directly from Coloradans about the issues and the solutions they most want prioritized. Should you have any questions about the dashboard and need any support, you can always go to the web page that we started with and go to contact, or you can go to the Boulder Insight website and click on contact us as well, and we'll be happy to help guide you. Take care, everyone.